What's up, YouTube family? Today we're going to be talking about exotic car repos. Now, a few years ago, to see an exotic car at an auction was pretty rare. To see a repoed exotic car was even more rare. But the market today has done a complete 180, and we're seeing record high amounts of exotic car repos piling up. Every week I'm seeing more cars either wrecked, damaged, or just basically misused at the auction. Now, I just picked up a 2022 Rolls-Royce Cullinan that I will be fixing on this channel because I want to start flipping not only regular cars, but exotic cars again. And so this is just to show you how the market is going. Now, I pulled back because the exotic car market was crazy. Prices were falling, lenders weren't doing anything. And so now that the market is starting to correct itself, I want to go over what happened, why there's so many exotic car repos, and if you're thinking about buying an exotic car, why it might be a little bit harder than what you originally thought. So to figure out why there are so many exotic car repos, we have to go back to 2019, where something very small had a major effect on the exotic car market. Now, that thing that happened was regular traditional banks jumping into the exotic car realm. Now, traditionally, if you wanted to finance an exotic car, it was extremely hard. Even Ferrari and Lamborghini did not want to finance their cars. They required most people to put 30 to 50% down, and they would think about financing you. Now, there were a handful of lenders that would finance, but you had to build your credit score and your trade history to get these things. There was no automatic approvals when it comes to your credit score. So they cared more about the actual trade lines on your credit and comparable comps that they can prove that you know how to make your payments and pay an exotic car off. But when the regular banks decided to jump in and do exotic car lending, they didn't change their criteria. They decided to keep it the same. So they were doing automatic approvals with just random credit checks. So if you had a 750 credit score because you had a Macy's card for 10 years, you made every monthly payment on time, you were guaranteed for whatever kind of car you wanted, a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 car. Absolutely blew my mind. And so all these people that basically got these cars were able to get in them for next to nothing. Now, when I got my first exotic car, I had to go from a $50,000 car to an 80 to 120, 200,000, 300,000, so on and so forth. It took me years. And on top of that, anytime you buy an exotic car, they want at least 30% down. That was one of the things. You have to have good credit and you have to have money because they don't want to see these things default. But these big banks didn't care. They were like, you know what? You got a good credit score. We're going to let you finance 100% of it. And they started pushing these cars out through everywhere. Now, before it wasn't that much of a big deal, but I'm sure you guys saw during the pandemic, regular Ford, Honda, Toyota, Mitsubishi stores actually selling more exotic and luxury cars. Why is that? Because the financing was no longer for boutique buyers. It was for everybody and their grandma. So banks like Ally, Wells Fargo, Bank of America decided, you know what, we're going to give everybody whatever money they want to buy whatever exotic car they want. And because of this, too many people got into the market, it raised the prices, and now that the market's coming down, everybody's walking away. Now, every week I see more cars, like I said, hit the auction, and the values have been dramatically dropped. I've seen Cullinans with $500,000 owed on them selling for $250,000. I've seen McLaren 720s with $400,000 for them going for less than $200K because they're banged up in a bunch of high miles. So this is where the exotic car market is heading, and you're going to see a lot more of these things. So if you're thinking about buying an exotic car, be patient and wait. I promise you there's going to be more to come because the banks were trying to work out deals because they didn't want to eat that much of a deficiency. So if the car would sell at the auction for $200,000 but you owed $400,000, they'd rather get as many payments as they can possibly from you before they had to take the car. But because people are not paying, banks are out there snatching up cars left and right. And so that's why you're starting to see a dramatic increase when it comes to repos. So one of the reasons why I decided to pick up this Rolls-Royce Cullinan and start fixing it up and reselling exotics again is because the market is finally stabilizing. I talked to a lot of lenders. They are no longer doing exotic cars. They'll do only cars up to $150,000. So if it's beneath that, they're going to run your credit. They're going to check your bank accounts. They're going to get really strict when it comes to lending. Now, there are some lenders out there that are still doing crazy financing. I'm sure you guys know Woodside Credit, where you can get an exotic car for 10-year loans. It's absolutely crazy. I tell people don't do it. If you want to do it, that's up to you. But my advice is use LLP. They're a sponsor of this channel. I'll leave their link down below. If you want to do an exotic car lease or a traditional auto loan, they can definitely help you get whatever exotic car you want, classic car or luxury car. But as of right now, before you go out and buying exotic cars, you definitely need to get pre-approved because we're seeing people get turned down left and right every time they go to some of these exotic car and highline dealerships because they think that, well, I got an 800 credit score, I have great credit, so I'm automatically guaranteed approved. Not true. it's starting to become like it was before. That was one of the cool things about the exotics. I had friends that had 800 credit scores, but they could never buy an exotic because they didn't have the trade lines that I had. But because of the regular banks jumping in and giving everybody, the same opportunity, exotic cars didn't feel so rare. And I hate to say it, you probably know somebody that either owns, drives, or rents an exotic car. They're not that rare anymore. I swear, you see them every single place. Whether I'm in Las Vegas or I'm even driving to like Oklahoma, everywhere I go, I see some sort of exotic driving the road. So I remember when I was a kid, seeing a Lamborghini Diablo, Countach, Ferrari was very, very rare. Today, you can go to any valet casino here in Vegas, and there's probably 5 of them parked up front in every casino at all times. That's just the way it is now, which is absolutely crazy. But it just shows you how frivolous the lending was to give everybody and their grandma these cars. Now, one of the good things about them really restricting the lending is it's bringing the demand and the prices back down to earth. And this is something good. And this is what we wanted to see because of a collapsing market. We're starting to see Huracans go way under 200K. I remember you couldn't even buy a clapped out 70,000 mile 2015 Huracan for under $250,000 during the pandemic. It was crazy. People were going nuts for those things. I just saw one go for auction. I think it was like 125, had like 60,000 miles as a rental here in Vegas. But we're starting to see prices go back to the way it used to be, which is great. So that'll leave a lot of people the opportunity to buy some of these cars. Now, on the other end, you need to start working on your credit today to make sure you can afford one, because now that everything is going hybrid and pretty much anything is analog is going to go up in value, or anything naturally aspirated, V10, V12, or V8 is going to go up. So don't be surprised when you start to see some of these car prices go up. Now, I sold my 2022 R8 a while back because I thought that those prices would go down just like the Huracans and everything else, but they stayed the same because people want a nice luxury daily driver with a naturally aspirated V10. They're no longer making these cars. Huracans, I think the same thing, especially Aventadors. If you're looking for an Aventador, buy one now, because I think they're going to go to the moon, because this is going to be the new it car. Because I've watched so many YouTubers and friends buy the Revoltos and get rid of them right after they drive them because there's no soul. It's a hybrid, too many issues. Everybody wants an Aventador. Even myself, I'd love to get one, but I'm going to have to wait on that one until I find a sugar mama or hit the lotto. But it's one of those things where you're going to see the demand start to pick up as they stop making these. Because remember, if banks can't finance them and the demand at the dealership level is not there, Lamborghini's not going to make as many. And they've already learned their issues from having too many Uruses out there and the values dropping. So watch, they're going to start making them even more limited quantities, which is going to bring those prices up even higher and make it even harder for new people to get into the market. So now this time to strike, build your credit, and get ready to buy something new. Anyways, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them down in the comment section below. I try to answer every single one as I go along for the next few hours. Make sure you watch next week, because we're going to be starting our build of the Rolls-Royce Cullinan Repo. I'm going to show you how I buy these cars, how I fix them, and how I actually sell them and remarket them to get the most money out of it. And hopefully one of you guys will be one of the lucky ones to drive that Rolls-Royce Cullinan home. But anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Lucky Lopez, and we'll see you next video.